Hey, welcome back to the Sing Confidently Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. Today, I'm sharing with you how you and I, are finally going to become more confident performers in the new year 2026. Whenever you're listening to this, you could be listening to this at the end of 2026, looking forward to 2027. It still applies. These are the things that we are going to be doing to build confidence as performers, even if you've reached a certain level of confidence as a singer, as a performer, which I believe I have, yet there is always more room to grow. I know that I can still build my confidence, make it even more consistent in my performing abilities and level up as a performer. And I want you to know that you can too, right? We want to have that growth mindset that there is always more that we can continue to grow in, and we are able to take steps to actually do that. And I'm going to share with you what I'm going to be doing and what I would love for you to do along with me this year to really become a more confident singer, performing artist, and whatever aspect you want to develop in. I want to develop not only my vocal, but also as an actor. So developing my acting technique, this same structure works for all of it. So it works for every whatever particular craft or aspect of your craft that you want to develop. If you want to go specific, if you want to go broad, it's going to work regardless. This is how we're going to become confident as performers. This is what I've been doing over the last several years, and this is what I work with my students to do as well. It's the same exact process. So I'm excited to share it with you. I've talked about it before, but today I'm really going to talk about it specifically in context of the new year and ways that we can apply it really practically and really deeply as well. I'll share like some specific ideas, and let me know if any of these ideas relate to you. If you're also taking an acting class or taking a voice lesson or taking a dance class, I'm doing all of the above this year. So if you're doing any of those, let me know. I'd love to hear you out and hear about like how that's going for you so we can share our ideas with each other, share what's happening. You guys can always connect with me in our free Facebook group. It's an online community at creativelybyestelle.com/community, or you can join my email list as well, and you just email with me. Um, and so, by the way, if you're on my email list, you already know about this. So make sure you're on my email list because you get updates ahead of time. But I already shared with my email list, and I'm going to keep sharing with them and with you guys that my spring 2026 registration is open. I'm doing it like I've never really done before. I've never done like an official like registration slot and registration time for my studio, which by the way, this podcast is kind of sponsored slash produced through my online voice studio that I created a couple years ago called Creatively Performing Arts, where I teach online voice lessons for adults, for young adults, teens, anyone who's wanting to really develop um, vocally in order to kind of pursue this creative passion of singing and performing. Really, like more, I'm really wanting to gear it more towards like aspiring performers, pre-professional performers. You're really wanting to do this seriously and take it seriously, because what I'm really focusing on in this new spring season registration for my students is consistency and commitment. And so what's different about it is not only am I doing like an open registration date kind of thing, but I'm also, in addition to like only doing single lessons, which I've really been focused on the last few years, is like single lessons and then you book your next lesson when you're ready, which is totally cool. And you can still do that if you're wanting to do that. Or you can do a trial lesson, like a 15-minute like mini consultation lesson. You guys know I have that available, where you can book a free call that's on my website. But what I've never done really is open registration for weekly or bi-weekly packages, which is like you can subscribe, basically like a subscription. So you'll be charged every week, and then you can just book your lessons. Like your lesson spot is already on my calendar every single week at that same time. Unless you switch it, you're welcome to switch it. You can cancel it anytime, cancel your payments anytime. You can switch your times if you get off like a week, or if it's a bi-weekly one subscription that you have subscribed to, like package that you subscribe to. If you get off and you need like to do a lesson um in 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks, that's okay too. Like you just have this like consistent subscription kind of going on until the end of the semester in May. And that way you'll always know that you are building your growth, you're building your technique, you're building your confidence as a singer and a performer consistently. You have it in the books. And if you need to move things around because life happens, that's totally fine. Like it's not going to. be a problem. If you need to cancel, that's totally fine. It's not going to be a problem, but you have this consistent schedule for you every week or every other week, totally up to you which one you decide, where you know that you're getting 8 lessons in this semester if it's biweekly, or you're getting 16 lessons in the semester if it's weekly. And you get to choose when you take those 16 lessons or when you take those 8 lessons, right? It's okay if it's not biweekly exactly, or if it's not weekly exactly. You get to choose, but you have this like ongoing schedule with my studio and with me as your teacher. And that means by the end of the semester, by the end of the spring, by the time we get to May, your growth will have, like, you will be able to see consistent growth over time. There will be ups and downs because it's a journey, right? No one's going to be perfect by the end of the semester, right? We're all in process, but you're going to be able to see that you have actually grown as a singer throughout the semester. And you're going to feel, I mean, even after 2 lessons with me, I just don't believe that you're not going to feel more confident as a singer, because I'm taking you through the process that I'm going to talk about today. I'm taking you through this process that I've been on myself, that I continue on. Like, there is no way that you're not going to feel at least a little bit more confident and certain in who you are as a singer, as a performer, and an aspect of your voice. I'm going to point out things that you haven't noticed. I help highlight things that you don't always see or hear as a singer, because as a coach, that's my job. I can highlight the things that you're doing well that you don't even know, and then I can help you to sharpen those skills and teach you technique that you haven't developed yet, that you need to develop, that you need to work on, and help you to start to work on that technique and those aspects of your voice as well. And so that's going to help you to really get this comprehensive view of who you are as a singer. And that just builds your confidence, like, without a doubt, because you're seeing the things that you're doing well, you're working on those, improving those, and you're working on the things that you do need to work on and improve on. And so it's just really, really cool. There's not going to be any more stopping and starting. Like, there's not going to be any more like, oh, I feel bad about myself because I missed a lesson this month. Like, no, like, that's not going to happen anymore, because you have already signed up for the semester. Of course, you can cancel anytime, but making that commitment at the beginning of the year, I just know it's going to help you build confidence in your voice and in yourself as a performer. I've seen it from my students that I work with a studio I work with in person in Raleigh, North Carolina. Like, those students who are consistent over the semester and who actually show up for their lessons, the growth is phenomenal. There is no doubt in my mind that they are growing, and you can see it in them. Their parents can see it in them. If they're like the younger students, like, they know it's happening because they're consistent. And a lot of times as kids, as children, right? Or even if some of you guys are parents, you will do this for your children, but you won't do it for yourself. And that's where the disconnect is, right? So the kids will have this consistency where they're coming to lessons every single week, every other week consistently, and they are seeing growth. I've had biweekly students who have changed to weekly because they've seen such growth from doing it biweekly. And yet we as adults, a lot of times, you guys listening, most of you are adults or young adults, right? You're fresh out of college. You know that you want to do this. You know you want to do this. And yet you are not being consistent, and you know you're not, right? And I don't say this in any way unkindly. I give so much grace because I myself continue to work on this, right? There's so much grace because life is busy and it's crazy, right? But I want you to know that that consistency is worthwhile. It is worthwhile. I see it time and time again with my students, and I've seen it with my private students in my studio, that what happens is when they are consistent, there is so much growth. Like, by the end of, like, even if we're just doing like 4 lessons in a row, oh my goodness, right? The transformation is palpable, it's clear, versus the students who maybe will do one and then, like, I won't see them again. And then they'll come back after a bit of time, and it's like you lose some momentum, right? We don't want to lose the momentum. Rather, we want to keep growing and growing and growing. Have some dips in the journey, right? You're going to have dips. You're going to have spots where you feel like giving up. Absolutely. But nevertheless, I want you to forge on, to keep going and to build that momentum. And so that's why I really am speaking really passionately about this. I know I've been talking about this for a while, but it's because I'm really passionate about us actually moving forward as singers. And the way that we do that is consistency over time. There is no doubt about it. So I would love for you guys to check that out. Go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio. You can check out my one like single lessons. Of course, those are always available. But if you register for the spring registration for the weekly or bi-weekly package, choose which one of them works best for you. Bi-weekly is 8 lessons that you will just have like, it'll just like be paid for on a bi-weekly basis, and you have the entire semester to do those 8 lessons. And then weekly is 16 lessons, same thing there. And what's going to happen is that if you go ahead and register before the semester officially begins on January 5th, you get the first lesson for free. That's $80 off of your entire purchase, right? So you won't even have to buy anything the first time you schedule your first lesson. So you just schedule your first lesson and it'll be free. And if you absolutely hate the lesson and you don't want to keep going, you can technically cancel the subscription and then you would have gotten a free lesson out of it. But I I genuinely am offering this because I believe that if you are committed and you go ahead and sign up for your first lesson, you get that first lesson free. Go ahead and sign up for the weekly or bi-weekly package. I genuinely believe that you will want to come back. You will want to come back if we are a good fit, right? Of course, if we work together well, I just know that you're my people. Like, you listening, you're my girl. Like, you are ready for this. You're my person. You're ready to move on. You're ready to move forward. You're ready to be committed in 2025. You're not second guessing yourself anymore. You're tired of that. You're tired of that. You don't want to live in a regret. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. And so you want to be committed. And you know that you want to grow as a performer. You know that you want to do the thing. You know that you want to start pursuing this seriously with intention. And that means commitment, right? And I know I'm just this girl that you met online, but we can meet in person online on a Zoom call during your first lesson. So go ahead, go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio if you are willing to take that step. If you really trust me to be your coach and to work with you and to help you, I would love, 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 love to prove that you are right to trust me by working with you in your first lesson for free. Go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio, creativelybyestelle.com/studio. The link is in the show notes wherever you're listening as well, but you can just type that into your browser and go ahead and schedule that. Go ahead and schedule your weekly or bi-weekly. Register before January 5th so that way you can get the deal. You use the code, oh, what's the code? Sorry, I should have shared this before, but you use the code SPRING, SPRING, code SPRING when you check out. That way you can get that discount. Okay, make sure you use the code. I just realized I didn't say that. Use the code, otherwise you will not get the discount of the first lesson for free. If you have any issues, just email me, reach out to me. You guys know there are a billion ways to connect with me, but let me know if you have any issues with that whatsoever. Okay, so that was a lot. That was long. But the point is, the reason that I even shared any of this about spring registration is because this is how we're becoming confident in the new year. We are committing, we are being consistent over time, and we are not starting and then second guessing and stopping. Oh, I'm going to do it, but like halfway. No, no, no. We're going all in. We're being determined. We're being committed. And these are the steps that you're going to take to become that confident performer. Number one, I've talked about this exact process multiple times. It's a cycle, and it's what we need to keep on doing again and again. So the first thing is that you have to know your voice, know who you are as a performer, start to develop that knowledge and that self-awareness of who you are, what you want. And the key point that I have like a key point / example for each of these. The key point that I have for the know your voice section, the know your voice step, is I want you to make a decision. I want you to decide, 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 make the decision about what it is that you want. I want to become a confident performer, and I'm going to do that in 2026. Write it down, write the vision, make it plain, state it out loud to yourself. I am going to become a confident performer in 2026. You have to decide, and you have to decide in such a way that you have this deep why. I've talked about this before, like knowing your why. Why do you want to do it? Right? Have this deep knowledge, this deep kind of connection to performing that you're fully aware of, that you've stated out loud, you've written it down, you know it so deeply that when the doubt comes, because it will come, my dears, like it's going to come, you're going to doubt yourself. Trust me, you're going to doubt your voice. You're going to do a lesson with me and you're going to be like, I don't even know if I can do this. And I'm going to be like, yes, you can. Right. That's the beauty of having a coach. You have someone who can help you work through the doubt, but you will have that doubt. And yet, when you have made the decision, right, and you know your why, and you have built this awareness of your voice because you're doing what I'm talking about with like knowing your voice, you're recording yourself, you're listening back to yourself, right? You're getting to know a little bit more about the voice, how the voice works, vocal anatomy, right? You're knowing your voice and you're knowing your why behind why you want to be singing and performing on stage, and you've made that decision internally. You will not step back. You will not quit. You will not doubt you will not let the doubt win, basically. You're not going to give up. You're not going to stop in the middle of the year, right? In the middle of the next month, right? That's what we want to avoid. And so knowing your voice, that encapsulates knowing your voice, like that section encapsulates like your mindset. So deciding, making the decision that you're going to become a confident performer, writing down what is your why do you want to do this? And then there's also the physical aspect of knowing your voice, which is what I was talking about, like starting to sing a little bit, sing songs that you love, record yourself singing, listen back to your voice, notice the good things about it. um Learning about vocal anatomy. How does the voice actually work? How does the diaphragm actually work? And why does it not make sense to sing from the diaphragm? I've made episodes about that before, but yeah, like knowing your voice is the first step to building confidence as a performer in the new year. And I talk about this in my course that I have. I also talk about this in my lessons with students. So knowing your voice is going to be essential to you becoming a confident performer. If you don't have that right mindset to start, you haven't made the decision, you're going to quit, right? And then on top of that, the physical aspect of it is that if you're not developing a love for your voice, familiarizing yourself with your voice by listening to your voice more, familiarizing yourself with how the voice actually works, you're not gonna have this like foundation of knowledge about your voice, and it's gonna be really easy for you to be like, I don't really know why my voice isn't doing this, so I'm gonna give up, right? So but if you have vocal anatomy understanding, you kind of understand, okay, this is why this isn't happening, I'm switching registers here, this is what's happening in my voice. When you kind of understand that, it helps you to kind of be able to be like, okay, I can work around this. I can figure out a way to get more airflow going because I understand how airflow works for my voice, right? So when you kind of understand and you know your voice, it gives you this foundation of like, okay, I can solve problems. Okay, I can work through this. Okay, I can work through this doubt, right? Because I have made this decision already. So knowing your voice, the mindset aspect as well as the physical aspect can really help you to keep going when you encounter problems. So that's why it's step one. It's the foundation. I truly believe. Okay, from there, you started to know your voice. You're starting to like listen to it more, familiarize yourself with how the voice works. Yay. Okay, great. Next step in in the process of becoming a confident performer in this year is you're going to practice, right? You're going to practice. So how are you going to get to becoming a confident performer? You've made the decision already. How are you going to actually do that? The way you're going to do that, this is my sub point for practice, is that you are going to um basically kind of outline a plan to get to that goal that you have, to get to that decision that you've made to become a confident performer. Okay, so how are you going to get there? Maybe it's that you're going to take an acting class, a dance class, and a voice lesson every week. That's what I'm doing. So if you're like me and you're really, 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 really all in, then there you go. That's your path. Maybe it is doing voice practice every single day. I also do that, but I've been doing that anyway. So singing every day intentionally. So having a voice practice routine. I have an episode all about that and what you should include in that routine. In episode 287, a simple voice practice routine for singers to do at home. Episode 287. If you don't have a voice practice routine, go listen to that episode and make one. Okay. It's very necessary. Um, So, and this could also be like just like doing an audition every 2 weeks. That's kind of our next step. But the point is that you are working on practicing. So you've learned a little bit about your voice, how the voice works. Now you're going to practice working on a specific song, working on a specific aspect of yourself as a performer, going to an acting class, going to a dance class. You are really putting in the work to develop. So that way you can reach your goal of becoming a confident performer. So that is the practice section. Pretty self explanatory. Again, go listen to that episode so that you have a practice routine down for your voice, right? A lot of the times we just don't really think about like, how do I specifically strategically practice my voice, developing my vocal technique outside of voice lessons. And with every voice lesson that I teach my students, I send kind of like a lesson breakdown after every lesson, and especially that first lesson that we will have together. So if you book your lessons with me through creativelybyestelle.com/studio, when you book your lesson with me, after that first lesson, I'm going to send you your voice practice plan where I actually write it out for you, what you're going to do every single day, the exercises that we worked on in the lesson. I kind of write them out for you so that way you can do them again on your own throughout the week. And that way you already have your own little plan put together for you. So that's kind of a bonus that comes with your lessons with me. I don't know that every voice teacher does that, but I specifically have done that for years now. And that's a way that I can really give to you as my student this really specific routine that is catered to your voice. I tweak it over time. So after a few lessons, I might change some of your warm-ups because I've heard your voice a little bit more, right? So that's gonna be a natural kind of result of working with a coach consistently, is that they can really give you focused exercises for your voice and your goals. But you got to start somewhere. So make sure that you start with that practice routine or start with your lessons with me so that way we can work on them together. Okay, the third step is super, super important. This is express your voice. This is when you're going to start putting yourself out there. This is taking small steps of action, one at a time. So start really, really small, especially if you've never really put yourself out there before. Start with one local community theater audition. Start with one little video on your stories to your closest friends on Instagram. Start with this is just you singing what you have been working on in your practice time. Now you're going to put it out there in one way or another. Again, start small, and then you go from there. That's pretty self-explanatory too. And then the last step is improve. This is how you're going to really build confidence as a performer this year. Oh, and by the way, for the express your voice section, just another sub point there is that this works for any other thing that you're working on in your arsenal as a performer. So if you're working on developing your skills as a dancer, right? You can put yourself out there you can express yourself as a dancer by let's see, standing in the front of the class, standing in the front of your dance class the next time that you go to dance class, right? That way you're kind of being more expressive in front of more people, more eyes on you. You can record yourself doing the dance and then posting it on your stories or on TikTok or something. And that's a way to express yourself. So this structure works for not only singing, but any other aspect of your craft as a performer. That's really what I wanted to highlight there. You can apply that to anything. Okay. The last step, again, you can also apply this to anything. This is improve. This is all about getting feedback and support. Feedback and support. This is really where voice coaching comes in handy. Once you've started to know your voice a little bit, you've made that decision that you're going to become a confident performer. You've started to practice on your own. You've done my voice practice routine in episode 287, and you've gotten that down pat. Yes, down pat. And then you have also expressed yourself a little bit. Maybe you started to put yourself out there just a little bit here and there. Now you're really ready to up level. You're ready to improve. This means getting feedback. Okay. Getting feedback and support. This is really, really, really when I would advise you registering for spring registration for voice lessons with me. Okay. Weekly and weekly or bi-weekly. Or if you really, really aren't sure, just go ahead and grab one lesson. I would really advise you doing that after you've done a little bit of the work on your own, or if you're ready to just like let's go, I will take you through this process as well with me as your coach. But this improved section is where you're really going to seek feedback and take that feedback seriously. This is when you're really going to seek support and encouragement through a coach, through a community. Go to my free Facebook group community and share in there. Connect with other singers, other performers who can hear you and give you support and feedback. But really make sure that you trust the people that you are seeking feedback from, because you want to make sure that it's helpful critiquing, and it's going to be encouraging to you while also being honest with you. And so make sure that you trust the coach that you're working with. Make sure that you trust the performers that you're asking for support from. But you got to try. You might not know that you trust someone until you actually take that first step to connect with them in a real way. And so if you're not really sure about me, I would really recommend you listening to my podcasts, connect with me on Instagram, on social media, get to know me a little bit more. But then when you think that you have some inkling of trust in me, then you can go ahead and get that first lesson, or even just book that first free consultation that I have. That way you can really get a feel for whether we work well together before you book your first lesson. But if you know that you trust me already, definitely go ahead and register for that spring registration, those first voice lessons, because this is how you really, really, really are going to feel more confident, is that you have that feedback and you know that you're not just like thinking about things in your head. Like, you've gotten a little bit of external feedback. Some external validation can be really helpful to you, but remember, that's like the last step, right? So you've already worked on internally validating yourself by knowing your own voice, reflecting on your own voice, practicing on your own, expressing yourself, putting yourself out there, and then getting feedback, right? So it's kind of a process where it starts with more internal validation, because you are the singer, you are the artist, you are the performer, but then you get to get some external validation, some external support as well. And then you start the cycle all over again. You start it all over again. It is a process, right? And so this is how we are going to build confidence as performers. This is a really, really, really full episode, I know, but it's because it's so important that you hear this. This is a process, but it's one that you can go through, and it's one that you don't have to go through alone. And that's why I really wanted to impress, and just like share with you so openly about how excited I am, and why I really wanted to do registration differently for my studio this time around. Because I know that it's hard to be it's hard to see that growth that you want to see when you're not being consistent over time. And so the thing I love about this process is that built into it is consistency, right? You can't just know your voice one time. You have to keep on knowing your voice. You have to keep on learning about your voice. You can't just practice one time. You have to keep that practice routine going every day or every other day to start. You can't just express your voice one time, right? It's a process. You keep going and going over and over again, and then the improving continues as you go back to know your voice, practice your voice, express your voice. You continue to improve, you continue to grow, because you're getting feedback from someone that you trust, you're getting feedback from other artists that you trust, right? From the dance teacher that you're working with, the acting coach that you're working with, the voice coach you're working with, whoever you're working with to train that aspect of your craft. You're getting that feedback again and again. And that way you're able to then pour back into the process of like, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep learning about my voice. I'm going to keep learning about this aspect of my craft. I'm going to keep learning about my unique voice and how it works. I'm going to keep knowing that part of myself. And then I'm going to keep practicing. And then I'm going to keep expressing myself. And then I'm going to get more feedback, and then I'm going to start it all over again. So do you see how it just like continues again and again and again? Those are the steps. That is how we build confidence as singers and as performers. I know this was a lot, but if you're not sure what to do next, just again, go back through that process. Know, practice, express, improve. Know your voice, practice your voice, express it, and then improve. Seek that feedback, and then start all over again. This is how we build confidence as performers. I've been saying it for a while now, and I'll say it again and again and again. And I'm so here for you to do that. If you don't want to do that alone, again, go check out my studio, creativelybyestelle.com/studio, and see if you'd like to register for those weekly or bi-weekly classes. I'm here for you to help you to build that confidence as a performer in 2026. I'm so excited to do it alongside you, to cheer you on all the way. You know, I'll be back for another episode on New Year's Day. Make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on it. Have an amazing day. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the Performing Arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so, so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.